Hi, welcome to ECBSC online classes. Let's solve class 10 mathematics basic paper, the sample question paper for year 2021. Let's quickly take a look at the exam pattern. Exam is for 3 hours and maximum marks you can score is 80. The question paper contains two parts, part A and part B. Part A is consisting of two sections, section 1 and section 2. In section 1 you have 16 questions, each carrying 1 mark. It means you can score 16 marks. Please note that there is internal choice given for 5 of the questions. It means that 5 of these 16 questions will have two choices. So you can choose to write choice A or choice B such that you can score 1 mark for that question. That way you can have 5 questions with choice out of these 16 questions. And section 2 has 4 case study based questions. And please note that each case study based question has got 5 subparts. However, you have to write only 4 subparts, each carrying 1 mark. It means that each case study based question you can score 4 marks. So total 4 case studies and 4 marks, that is 16. The total score you can get out of part A is 32 marks. Coming to part B, you have very short answer questions each carrying 2 marks and short answer questions each carrying 3 marks and few long answer type questions also, each carrying 5 marks. You have 6 very short answer type questions each carrying 2 marks. Please note that there is internal choice given for 2 of the questions. And the score you can make is 6 times 2, that is equal to 12 out of very short answer type questions. And there are 7 short answer type questions, each carrying 3 marks. And there is internal choice for 2 of these questions. And the total score you make out of short answer type questions is 7 times 3, that is equal to 21. And there are 3 long answer type questions, each carrying 5 marks. And there is internal choice for one of the questions. And the marks you can score are 3 times 5, that is equal to 15. So the total score you can get out of part B is 48 marks. In this video, we will be discussing about questions from part A. Let's take a look at question number 1. In this question, we are asked to express 156 as product of primes. It is from real numbers and topic is prime factorization. 156 is a even number and 2 is the smallest prime number you can think of and it can divide any of the even numbers. So let's divide 156 with 2 so that you get 78 as the answer. And again, this can also be divided with 2 and you get 39 as the answer. 39 is the base number and the 2 cannot divide it. So the number you can think of, the prime number you can think of is number 3. You have to see whether 3 can divide 39 or not. Yes, it can divide 39. So answer you get is 13. 13 itself is a prime number. So we can stop here because you can't find any other number dividing 13 other than 13, right? So 156 can be expressed as product of the primes 2 times 2 times 3 times 13. This is what we are asked to do. And question number 2, write a quadratic polynomial, sum of whose zeros is 2 and product is minus 8. It is from polynomials chapter. Let us assume that f of x equal to ax square plus bx plus c is the polynomial. And for such a quadratic polynomial, we know that sum of zeros can be written as negative of quotient of x divided by quotient of x square. And product of zeros can be written as constant divided by quotient of x square. When you compare or when you observe f of x equal to x square plus bx plus c, you can say that sum of zeros can be written as minus b by a and product of zeros can be written as c by a. Sum of zeros is given, that is equal to 2. It means that minus b by a equal to 2. Rearrange it and write it as minus b equal to 2a. Product of zeros is given, that is minus 8. C by a is going to be equal to minus 8. Rearrange it and write it as c equal to minus 8a. Let's assume that a equal to 1. When you substitute a equal to 1, B becomes minus 2 and C becomes minus 8. Let's substitute A equal to 1, B equal to minus 2 and C equal to minus 8 into the given equation, that is f of x equal to ax square plus bx plus c. You get f of x equal to x square minus 2x minus 8 as the quadratic polynomial we are looking for. Let's take a look at question number 3. As I said earlier, it has got internal choice. So you can choose to write choice A or choice B. I'm going to solve both the questions. Choice A of question number 3 is the following. Given that HCF of 96 and 404 is 4, find the LCM of those numbers. It is from chapter on real numbers. We know that product of two numbers can be written as product of their LCM times their HCF. It means that product of two numbers, that is 96 times 404, can be written as LCM times 4. Rearrange it and simplify it to get LCM of 96 and 404 as 9696. Please take a note of this. Let's go to choice B of question 3. Here we are asked to state the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. It is also from real numbers. It can be stated as following. Every composite number can be expressed as a product of primes, and the factorization is unique apart from the order in which the prime factors occur. If you have any doubt about this, the explanation can be following. 156 can be written as 2 times 2 times 3 times 13. These are the prime factors, right? The same 156 can be written as product of prime factors. Those are 3 times 2 times 2 times 13. 156 can also be written as 13 times 2 times 2 times 3. As you see here, the prime factors are same, 2, 2, 3 and 13, right? But their order is changing. This is what exactly the fundamental theorem of arithmetic means. Every composite number can be expressed as product of primes, and the factorization is unique. In this particular case, 2, 2, 3 and 13, but their order can be different. Let's take a look at question number 4. On comparing the ratio of the coefficients, find out whether the pair of equations x minus 2y equal to 0, 3x plus 4y minus 20 equal to 0 is consistent or inconsistent. This is from pair of linear equations in two variables chapter. Before solving this problem, let's quickly recap the concept behind this. We know that generic form for pair of linear equations in two variables can be written as a1x plus b1y plus c1 equal to 0 and a2x plus b2y plus c2 equal to 0, right? And any linear equation in two variables can be a straight line in 2D plane. It means that pair of linear equations form two straight lines in a 2D plane. So those two straight lines can be parallel lines as shown here. In such a scenario, you will have no solution for the corresponding equations, and those equations are said to be inconsistent set of linear equations. And if you write the ratio of their coefficients, they can be related as a1 by a2 equal to b1 by b2, that is not equal to c1 by c2. Please take a note of that. The pair of linear equations in some cases can be intersecting. The lines drawn for pair of linear equations can be intersecting as shown here. In such a case, you have unique solution for the corresponding equations, and the equations are said to be consistent and independent set of linear equations. And if you write the ratio of coefficients, they relate as a1 by a2 is not equal to b1 by b2, and we don't bother about the coefficients, ratio of coefficients c1 and c2. The lines corresponding to pair of linear equations can be overlapping lines also. In such a scenario, you will have infinitely many number of solutions possible for the given pair of linear equations, and those equations are said to be consistent but they are dependent set of linear equations. In such a scenario, the quotients relate as a1 by a2 equal to b1 by b2 equal to c1 by c2. Please take a note of this. And let's go back to the problem given. The first equation I am writing as x minus 2y plus 0 equal to 0. And second equation I am keeping as is. And let's now compare the first equation with a1x plus b1y plus c1 equal to 0 to get a1 equal to 1, b1 equal to minus 2 and c1 equal to 0. When you compare the second equation with a2x plus b2y plus c2 equal to 0, you get a2 equal to 3, b2 equal to 4 and c2 equal to minus 20. Let's take ratios of these coefficients. a1 by a2 is 1 by 3, b1 by b2 is minus 1 by 2 and c1 by c2 is 0. It means that a1 by a2 is not equal to b1 by b2. Whatever we have learnt earlier, based on that you can say that these two equations are going to be consistent and independent set of equations. So to answer the question, x minus 2y equal to 0 and 3x plus 4y minus 20 equal to 0 is a consistent pair of linear equations. Let's take a look at question number 5. If a and b are co-prime numbers, then find HCF of a and b. It is from real numbers. We know that any two numbers that have only one as the common factor are called co-prime numbers. It means that co-prime numbers has got only one common factor. It means the highest common factor is 1, right? So highest common factor of co-prime numbers is 1. It means HCF of a and b is going to be 1. That is the answer. And if you want any example for co-prime numbers, any two prime numbers can be co-prime numbers. Please take a note of that. Let's take a look at next question. It has got choice. Let's solve question 6 here now. Find the area of a sector of a circle with radius 6 centimeters. If the angle of the sector is 60 degrees, take pi equal to 22 by 7. This particular question comes from areas related to circles chapter. As you see here, sector is shown in light blue color. That is sector OAB. It subtends an angle theta at the center of the circle. And we know that a circle has total 360 degrees all the way around the center, right? Now we can write the following. Circle which has got angle 360 degrees has an area that is equal to pi r square. If sector that has got angle theta, what is its area is the question now. One can do cross multiplication. When you do that, you can arrive at an equation like this. Area of sector times 360 degrees equal to theta times pi r square. Rearrange it such that you get area of sector equal to theta divided by 360 degrees times pi r square. And we know the values of r, that is 6 centimeters, and theta, that is 60 degrees. Let's substitute values of these and pi equal to 22 by 7 into the equation and simplify it such that you get area of sector equal to 18.86 centimeters square. Let's take a look at next question. So choice B of question 6. A horse is tied to a pole with 28 meters long rope. Find the perimeter of the field where the horse can graze. Take pi equal to 22 by 7. It is also from areas related to circles chapter. If you allow the horse which is tied to a pole to graze, it makes a circle of radius equal to r. In this particular case, radius is 28 meters given. Perimeter of circle is defined as 2 pi r, right? Let's substitute values of pi, that is 22 by 7, and r equal to 28 meters, and simplify it such that you get perimeter of the field equal to 176 meters. Please take a note of this. Now let's take a look at question number 7, choice A. In the given figure, line DE is parallel to line BC and angle ADE equal to 70 degrees and angle BAC equal to 50 degrees, and then we are asked to find angle BCA. This is from triangles chapter. As you see here, if the lines cut by the transversal are parallel, then the corresponding angles are going to be equal. If you apply this concept, since line DE is parallel to line BC, we can say that angle ADE is equal to angle ABC, that is equal to 70 degrees. In the similar manner, angle BCA is equal to angle DEA. That is not known, we have to find it. We know that sum of angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. If you consider triangle ABC, you can write angle BCA as 180 degrees minus angle ABC plus angle BAC. And we know that angle ABC equal to 70 degrees and angle BAC equal to 50 degrees. Let's substitute them and simplify it to get angle BCA, that is equal to angle DEA, equal to 60 degrees. Please take a note of this. Now let's look at choice B of question 7. In the given figure, AD equal to 2 centimeters, BD equal to 3 centimeters, AE equal to 3.5 centimeters, and AC equal to 7 centimeters. And we are asked to find whether line DE is parallel to line BC or not. This is also from triangles. You can apply converse of basic proportionality theorem to figure out whether line DE is parallel to line BC or not. Converse of basic proportionality theorem states that if a line divides any two sides of a triangle in the same ratio, then the line is parallel to the third side of the triangle. Now we are looking at whether line DE is parallel to line BC or not. For that, we have to figure out the ratio of AD by DB and AE by EC, whether they are same or not. AD is given, that is equal to 2, DB is given 3, AE is 3.5, it is given, and AC equal to 7 is given. It means that EC is going to be AC minus AE, that is equal to 3.5. Now let's take ratios of these two. AD by DB is 2 by 3. AE by EC equal to 1. It means that AD by DB is not equal to AE by EC. It says that the line DE is not dividing the two sides AB and AC of the triangle in the same ratio. It means that the line DE is not parallel to the side BC as per the converse of basic proportionality theorem. So we can say that DE is not parallel to BC. Now let's take a look at question number 8. Cost of fencing a circular field at the rate of rupees 24 per meter is rupees 5,280. Then find the radius of the field. It is from areas related to circles chapter. We know that perimeter of circle is 2 pi r. And it is given that to cost a fence of 1 meter length is 24 rupees. And to cost to fence length of 2 pi r is 5,280 rupees. So let's cross multiply it such that you get 2 pi r times 24 equal to 5,280 and simplify it to get r equal to 35. It means that the radius of the field is 35 meters. Please take a note of this. Let's take a look at question number 9. A tree breaks due to storm and the broken part bends so that the top of the tree touches the ground where it makes an angle 30 degrees. The distance between the foot of the tree to the point where the top touches the ground is 8 meters. Find the height of the tree from where it is broken. It is from trigonometry. If you draw a right triangle out of the figure given, you see that AB is 8 meters and angle A, that is equal to theta, equal to 30 degrees. And height of the tree from where it is broken is shown using BC, and that is not known. We have to find it out. Let us consider the right triangle given and acute angle theta. For the acute angle theta, the opposite side is going to be BC and adjacent side is going to be AB, right? We know that trigonometric ratio tan theta relates these two. Tan theta equal to opposite side by adjacent side. So now we can write tan 30 degrees equal to BC by AB. From this table, we know that tan 30 degrees equal to 1 by root 3. If you substitute that, 1 by root 3 equal to BC by 8 and rearrange it such that you get BC equal to 8 by root 3. So to answer the question, the height of the tree from where it is broken is equal to 8 by root 3 meters. Please take a note of that. Let's take a look at question number 10 now. If the perimeter and area of circle are numerically equal, then find the radius of the circle. The units are different, they are numerically only equal. It is from circles chapter. We know that perimeter of circle is 2 pi r and area of circle is pi r square. And as per the question, these two are equal, right? Numerically. It means that pi r square equal to 2 pi r. So simplify it to get r equal to 2, right? So to answer the question, we can say that if the perimeter and area of the circle are numerically equal, then radius of the circle is 2 units. Please take a note of this. Okay, let's take a look at question number 11. Write the empirical relation among mean, median and mode. It is from statistics chapter. The relation is given as 3 times median equal to mode plus 2 times mean. If you want to understand any of these topics, not only statistics, any of the topics related to 10th class maths, related to this particular question paper, I am going to give all the topics links in the description below. Please go through them and you will find a lot of interesting material. Let's go to the next question. To divide a line segment BC internally in the ratio 3:5, we draw a ray BX such that angle CBX is an acute angle. What will be the minimum number of points to be located at equal distances on the ray BX is the question. It is from constructions chapter. You draw line BC and ray BX such that angle CBX is going to be acute angle as shown here. And since the ratio expected is 3:5, sum of these two numbers is 8. So we locate total 8 points on the BX at equal distance. So I am calling the 8th point as B8 and let me connect point C with B8. That is shown using green color line, right? And now mark B3. I am drawing a line parallel to CB8, that is in green, that passes through point B3, that is shown using red color. This line is intersecting line BC to divide the line segment BC internally in the ratio 3:5. If you observe this, the line in red color is parallel to the line in green color, which is one of the sides of the triangle, right? And it is intersecting the other two sides of the triangle in the same ratio, 3:5. So this is what is called basic proportionality theorem, right? So these are related. If you start appreciating, you will find very interesting stuff in maths. Let's go to choice A of question number 13 now. For what values of P does the pair of equations 4x plus py plus 8 equal to 0 and 2x plus 2y plus 2 equal to 0 has unique solution? This is from the topic on pair of linear equations in two variables. And we know that generic form for pair of linear equations in two variables is written as a1x plus b1y plus c1 equal to 0 and a2x plus b2y plus c2 equal to 0. Let's compare the first equation given with a1x plus b1y plus c1 equal to 0 to say that a1 equal to 4, b1 equal to p and c1 equal to 8. When you compare the second equation with a2x plus b2y plus c2 equal to 0, you write a2 equal to 2, b2 equal to 2 and c2 also equal to 2. We have seen earlier that when the ratio a1 by a2 is not equal to b1 by b2, we'll have unique solution and the lines corresponding to those equations are going to be intersecting lines, right? It means that a1 by a2 should not be equal to b1 by b2. a1 by a2 is 4 by 2, b1 by b2 is p by 2. So to have unique solution, p shouldn't be equal to 4. Any other number is fine. So to answer the question, we say that for all real values of p except for 4, the equations 4x plus py plus 8 equal to 0 and 2x plus 2y plus 2 equal to 0 will have unique solution. Please take a note of that. Let's take a look at question 13b, or choice B of question number 13. What type of straight lines will be represented by the system of equations 2x plus 3y equal to 5 and 4x plus 6y equal to 7? It is also from pair of linear equations in two variables. When you compare the first equation with generic form a1x plus b1y plus c1 equal to 0, you say that a1 equal to 2, b1 equal to 3 and c1 equal to minus 5. Right? When you compare the second equation with a2x plus b2y plus c2 equal to 0, you get a2 equal to 4, b2 equal to 6 and c2 equal to minus 7. Let's take ratios of these coefficients. a1 by a2 equal to half, b1 by b2 equal to also half, and c1 by c2 is 5 by 7. It means that a1 by a2 equal to b1 by b2, but that is not equal to c1 by c2, right? So for such a relation, we said that the lines are going to be parallel and the equations are going to be having no solution and they are inconsistent set of linear equations. You remember? So based on this, we can say that 2x plus 3y equal to 5 and 4x plus 6y equal to 7 represent the parallel lines. Please take a note of that. Let's take a look at choice A of question number 14. A bag contains 3 red balls and 5 black balls. A ball is drawn at random from the bag. What is the probability that the ball drawn is red is the question. It is from the topic of probability. Probability of an event E is defined as the ratio of number of outcomes favorable to event E and the number of all possible outcomes, right? In this problem, we are given 3 red balls and 5 black balls. So the number of all possible outcomes is going to be 8. It means 8 different balls you can pick. Okay. So you have number 8 for the denominator. Let's see what is the value of the numerator in the equation. So for that, we have to say what is the event E. Event E is drawing the red ball. So we have seen that from the figure, we have number of balls, red balls, that is equal to 3. It means that the number of outcomes favorable to drawing red ball is 3, means 3 red balls can be picked, right? When you randomly pick, you tend to pick 3 red balls. So you got value for numerator also. Let's substitute them. So P of probability of drawing red ball is equal to 3 by 8. So to answer the question, 3 by 8 is the probability that the ball drawn is red. Now let's go to question 14b. It is choice B of question number 14. A die is thrown once. What is the probability of getting a prime number is the question. It is from the topic of probability again. Probability is defined using this formula. And If you see the possible outcomes when you throw a dice are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, right? It means that the number of all possible outcomes is equal to 6. So when you say event is getting a prime number, we have to see what are the prime numbers among these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So 2, 3 and 5 are the prime numbers from this list. It means that we have 3 number of prime numbers possible, right? It means that the number of outcomes favorable to getting a prime number is 3. So 3 goes into the numerator and 6 goes into the denominator. When you do that, probability of getting a prime is going to be 1 by 2. So to answer the question, 1 by 2 is the probability of getting a prime number when you throw a dice once. Please take a note of that. Now let's take a look at question number 15. A tower stands vertically on the ground. From the point on the ground, which is 15 meters away from the foot of the tower, the angle of elevation to the top of the tower is found to be 60 degrees. Find the height of the tower is the question. If you observe the right, so this is from applications of applications of trigonometry chapter. If you consider the right triangle and acute angle theta as shown in the figure, theta, opposite side to the theta is going to be height of the tower, that is denoted using h here, and adjacent side is going to be the distance between the point and foot of the tower. So now we know that the trigonometric ratio that relates these two quantities is tan theta. Tan theta is defined as opposite side by adjacent side. So when you substitute values of theta equal to 60 degrees, you can say that tan 60 degrees equal to h by d, and we know d equal to 15. And tan 60 degrees is defined as root 3. Let's substitute that. So root 3 is going to be written as h by 15. Root 3 is equal to h by 15, and rearrange it to get h equal to 15 times root 3. So to answer the question, height of the tower is 15 root 3 meters. Let's go to the next question. Probability of an event E plus probability of the event E bar, that is studied as not E, is what is the question. It is from probability chapter. We know that sum of probabilities of all possible outcomes is always 1. It means probability of an event E plus probability of the event not E equal to 1. This is mathematically written in a simpler way. P of E plus P of E bar equal to 1. Let's now go to section 2 of the paper, part A. That is question number 17. It is based on case studies. Let's take a look at case study 1. Mathematics teacher of a school took her 10th standard students to show Red Fort. It was a part of their educational trip. The teacher had interest in history as well. She narrated the facts of Red Fort to the students. Then the teacher said, in this monument, one can find combination of solid figures. There are 2 pillars which are cylindrical in shape. Please take a note of that. And also 2 domes at the corners which are hemispherical in shape. Please take a note of this. And 7 smaller domes at the center. Flag hoisting ceremony on Independence Day takes place near these domes. That is what teacher had told. This case study has 5 multiple choice questions, out of which you have to answer 4 questions, each carrying 1 mark. So you will get 4 marks out of this case study. And this case study is from surface areas and volumes chapter. Let's take a look at subpart 1 of question number 17. How much cloth material will be required to cover 2 big domes, each of radius 2.5 meters is the question. And we are asked to take pi equal to 22 by 7. As you see, and we are given 4 choices. As you see from the figure, the big domes are marked using arrows. And teacher said that domes are in hemispherical shape while discussing with students, right? Hemisphere is half of the sphere, we know that. And please note that the cloth required to cover a dome is going to be equal to the curved surface area of the hemisphere. Please take a note of that. It means that in the figure, the dark blue region is something we are interested in. That is called curved surface area of hemisphere. Its formula is 2 pi r square. Let's substitute values now, pi equal to 22 by 7 and r equal to 2.5. And when you simplify it, you get the cloth required to cover a dome equal to 39.285 meters square, right? But the question is about two domes. So cloth required to cover two domes is going to be equal to 2 times 39.285. That is equal to 78.57 meters square. So answer is B. Let's go to part 2 of case study 1. Write the formula to find volume of a cylindrical pillar. In the figure, I am marking the cylindrical pillar, whereas you don't really require to see cylindrical pillar to answer this query. And we know that for a cylinder of radius r and height h, volume is defined as pi r square h. So we can say that volume of cylindrical pillar is pi r square h. So choice A is the answer, right? Let's go to subpart 3 of question number 17. Find the lateral surface area of two pillars if height of the pillar is 7 meters and radius of the base is 1.4 meters. And choices are given, and I have shown both the pillars in the figure. As you see here, for a cylinder of radius r and height h, the lateral surface area or curved surface area is defined as 2 pi rh, right? So let's substitute the values of pi, r and h to find lateral surface area of a pillar, meaning we are calculating for one pillar, that is 61.6 meters, right? But in the question we are asked to find lateral surface area of two pillars. So simply multiply the answer with 2 so that you get lateral surface area of two pillars equal to 123.2 meters square. So choice B is the answer. Let's go to subpart 4 of question number 17. How much is the volume of a hemisphere if the radius of the base is 3.5 meters is the question, and choices are given again. And we have seen hemisphere and its volume is defined as 2 by 3 pi r cube. So let's substitute values of r, pi into the equation and simplify it to get volume of hemisphere equal to 89.833 meter cube. So choice D is the answer, right? Let's go to the last subpart of question number 17. That is, what is the ratio of sum of volumes of two hemispheres of radius 1 centimeter each to the volume of sphere of radius 2 centimeters? We are talking about 1 centimeter radius, two hemispheres, and one sphere of radius 2 centimeters. Let's first go with hemisphere. Volume of hemisphere, we know that is 2 by 3 pi r cube. Let's substitute 1 centimeter for r and 22 by 7 for pi to get volume of a hemisphere, that is equal to 2.095 centimeter cube. So we have to find volume of two hemispheres, right, of radius equal to 1 centimeter. That is equal to 4.19 centimeter cube. Now let's go to the sphere part. Volume of sphere is defined as 4 by 3 pi r cube. Let's calculate volume of sphere of radius 2 centimeter. That is 33.52 centimeter cube. Now let's take the ratios of these two volumes. That is 4.19 divided by 33.52, that is equal to 1 by 8. It means the ratio is 1:8. So choice B is the answer. Let's go to case study 2, that is question number 18. Class 10 students of a secondary school in Krishnanagar have been allotted a rectangular plot of a land for gardening activity. Saplings of gulmohar are planted on the boundary at a distance of 1 meter from each other. There is a triangular grassy lawn in the plot as shown in the figure. The students are to sow seeds of flowering plants on the remaining area of the plot. This is the text given. Considering A as the origin, answer the questions 1 to 5. This also has 5 multiple choice questions. You have to answer any 4 to get 4 marks. This particular question is coming from coordinate geometry chapter. Let's take a look at subpart 1 of question number 18. Considering A as the origin, what are the coordinates of A? When you see this figure, we have to, that we have to put the scale, right? Only part of the scale is given. So let's do that first. On horizontal axis, it is starting at A equal to 0 and ending at D equal to 16. Whereas in vertical axis, it starts at A equal to 0 and B equal to 8. Since A is the origin, from the figure you see that A coordinates of A are 0, 0. So choice C is the answer, right? Let's go to subpart 2 now. What are the coordinates of P? Choices are given. See, the value of horizontal axis for P is 4 and vertical axis is 6. So coordinates of P are 4, 6. Choice A is the answer. Let's go to subpart 3. Here we're asked to find the coordinates of R. Horizontal axis, its value is 6. Vertical axis, its value is 5. So coordinates of R are 6, 5 and answer is A. Subpart 4. What are the coordinates of D? From the figure you see that D value of coordinates of D are 16 for horizontal axis and 0 for vertical axis, right? So 16, 0 are the coordinates of D. So answer is choice A. The last subpart of case study 2 is what are the coordinates of P if D is taken as the origin? Till now we have taken A as the origin. Now we have to take D as the origin. It means that the coordinates of horizontal axis are going to be different, whereas vertical axis is going to remain same. So let me put that first. So the horizontal axis starts at D equal to 0 and reaches A equal to minus 16, right? Now let's see what are the values for P. Horizontal value minus 12 and vertical axis it is same 6. So coordinates of P when D is the origin are minus 12, 6. So choice B is the answer, right? Okay, let's go to the next case study. That is question number 19, case study 3. Rahul is studying in 10th standard. He is making a kite to fly it on a Sunday. Few questions came to his mind while making the kite. Give answer to his questions by looking at the figure. It has 5 multiple choice questions. You have to answer 4, any 4 to get 4 marks, and it is from triangles chapter. Subpart 1. Rahul tied the sticks at what angles to each other is the question. And as you see here, I am marking the sticks using blue color line and red color line in the figure. As you see here, sticks are perpendicular to each other, right? It means the angle is 90 degrees. So choice C is the answer. Let's go to subpart 2 of question number 19. Which is the correct similarity criteria applicable for smaller triangles at the upper part of this kite is the question, and choices are given. The answer is side angle side or SAS similarity criteria. It deals with equality of one of the corresponding angles of given triangles and proportionality of corresponding sides including the angle. In this particular case, let's say that 90 degrees angle is the angle we are looking for and the corresponding sides are proportional. That's why SAS criteria is more applicable for this particular kind of problem. And interestingly, other choices given are not related to similarity criteria of triangles anyway. So it is fairly easy to choose choice B as the answer. Subpart 3. Sides of two similar triangles are in the ratio 4:9. Corresponding medians of these triangles are in the ratio is the question, and 4 choices are given. We know that if two triangles are similar, then the ratio of any two corresponding medians is equal to the ratio of any two corresponding sides. It means ratio of corresponding medians is equal to ratio of corresponding sides, that is given 4:9. So the ratio of corresponding medians is 4:9. So answer is B. Subpart 4. In a triangle, if square of one side is equal to the sum of the squares of other two sides, then the angle opposite to the first side is a right angle. This theorem is called. Answer is fairly simple. It is D, converse of Pythagoras theorem. Let's go to the last subpart of case study 3. What is the area of the kite formed by two perpendicular sticks of length 6 centimeters and 8 centimeter? So answers are given, choices are given. The red color line is 6 centimeters length and blue color line is 8 centimeters length. See the figure. And we know that area of triangle is defined as half base times height, right? Let's now consider the triangle which is marked using blue color line here. That triangle, I am calling it as triangle A. This is in the upper part of the kite. Its base is known 6 centimeters, that is red color line, but height is not known. So I am defining it as H. So area of triangle A is going to be half times 6 times H. Now let's consider remaining part of the figure, that is triangle B, lower part of the kite. Its base is known 6 centimeters, height is going to be 8 minus H, right? So let's take the area of triangle B, that is half times 6 times 8 minus H. So total area of the kite is going to be sum of these two triangle areas, right? When you simplify this, what you get is total area equal to half times 6 times 8, that is 24 centimeters square. So answer is choice C. Let's go to the next case study, that is case study 4. Due to heavy storm, an electric wire got bent as shown in the figure. It followed a mathematical shape. Answer the following questions. You have 5 multiple choice questions here. You have to answer 4 to score 4 marks. It is from chapter on polynomials. Subpart 1. Name the shape in which the wire is bent. This particular shape is called parabola, and answer is choice D. How many zeros are there for the polynomial or shape of the curve? The figure is given and choices are there. And as you see here, the polynomial value is becoming 0 at x equal to minus 1 and x equal to 3, right? And you may recall that if value of f of x is 0, for example, for x equal to a, then we write it as f of a equal to 0. And then a is called 0 of the polynomial f of x. If that is the case, x equal to minus 1 and x equal to 3 are the zeros of the given polynomial. It means it has got two zeros. So answer is A. Let's go to subpart 3. The zeros of the polynomial are the question. And we have already seen that x equal to minus 1 and x equal to 3 are the zeros. So answer is B. Let's go to subpart 4 of question number 20, that is case study 4. What will be the expression of the polynomial is the question. And 4 polynomial equations are given. We have to find which one is correct. And we have already seen that zeros are minus 1 and 3. And we know that if alpha and beta are the zeros of a quadratic polynomial, then the quadratic polynomial f of x can be written as x square minus alpha plus beta times x plus alpha beta, right? So let's calculate sum of zeros, that is alpha plus beta equal to 2. Product of zeros alpha beta equal to minus 3. Let's substitute these two into the polynomial given to get f of x equal to x square minus 2x minus 3. So choice C is the answer. Let's go to the last subpart of case study 4. What is the value of the polynomial if x equal to minus 1? And choices are given. And interestingly, from the figure itself you can say, but since we have already got the expression for the polynomial, let's substitute x equal to minus 1 into the equation and simplify it. So answer you get is 0. That is what exactly you see from the figure, right? At x equal to minus 1, the value of the curve is 0. So answer is choice D. I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to our channel ECBSC Online Classes on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. Keep visiting the channel. I'm going to cover other parts of the sample question papers, and I'm going to do even videos on many of important questions from previous question papers on different topics. Thank you.